building. How you feeling, Grandma B's? Nervous?
Yeah, I'm nervous. A little
It's
bit.
just me though.
Yeah, I know it's you, but
All right. So you're gonna introduce yourself, even though I already did it a little bit for you, and you're gonna tell us who we here talking about today. And you gotta say it with your chest. It's
okay,
my
so
brother.
I know. Uh-oh. Well, I'm Grandma B's, and my name is Yvonne Coleman, but I'm called Grandma B's, and I'll be talking about my grandson who is Slim Bz. Goes by his name is Sharod Coleman, but
His name's Sharod. What?
oh,
Full name. Don't forget the other last name.
no, Sharod Coleman / Fitzgerald.
All right. So we're gonna take it back to that night, right? Prior to, everything happening. Before he left the house that night.
That night.
Walk us through like your day with him, your last moments.
Well, my last moments with him were his mom and I had gone to Sharod, and he was asleep. And, some of his friends, well, when we got back, he woke up and he said to me that I had a phone call from a friend of mine. Then he asked me uh, to iron a shirt for him. And I said, iron a shirt? I said, where you going?
I need to grow up, not iron his shirt.
Yeah, sometimes he would put him on a wrinkle, but I didn't like for him to go out like that. I always like for him to go out looking nice. So, and I ironed his shirt, and he took a shower and all that kind of stuff. And so his mother and I were sitting in the living room watching something on TV. And I don't know what made me say to him that night. I just said to him, "Oh, you don't need to go out." No. He said, yeah, but my friends, he said, they on the way. And I said, oh, just stay home with me and mommy tonight. I don't know. I think we might have been watching a game, a basketball game or something like that. Anyway, and I just kept saying to him, I didn't have no type of scary feeling or eerie feeling or anything like that. I just said, just stay home with me and mommy tonight. And he just said, well, I gotta go. He said they on their way. What I'm gonna do? I said, just tell me you're not going out tonight. And so, well, story short, he went on out. And that was the last time his mother and I saw him. And alive. So, well, he went on about his business, and later on we both went to sleep. And around about 3 o'clock in the morning, I know how Sharod is when he loses keys.
I knew you was about to say that too.
He will call you and say, Grandma, could you open the door for me? But that night, the phone did ring. I just let it ring. I said, oh, just let it stay on out there. But anyway, it just kept ringing. They hung up, they called back. And I said to my Sharonda, his mother, I said, Sharonda, you know that's your son calling. I said, I ain't going to the door tonight. You go to the door. And so she picked the phone up. She ain't say nothing to me.
So what was, in that moment, right? Because she didn't say anything. Did you have any feelings? What did you think was going on? Did you start feeling like it was the keys, or did she leave the house? Like, what was the next steps after that? Like,
okay, the next step after that, I just turned over and I think I just went right back to sleep. And then maybe another 20 minutes or so, the phone rang. The phone rang again, and I picked it up, and it was a lady on the phone, one of Sharonda's friends' mother, and she said to me, "May I speak to Sharonda?" I said, "Oh, Sharonda's asleep." So she said, "I need to talk to Sharonda." And so I said, okay, let me see if I can get her up. So I went to her bedroom. She wasn't in there. I went in the kitchen. She wasn't in there. Sharod wasn't in there in the house either. So I came, I had the phone in my hand. So I said to her, I said, well, Sharod is not here. I said, what happened? Anything wrong? And she said to me, she said, oh, you don't know what happened? And I said, what happened? I didn't think anything had happened to Sharod. Sharod?
Right.
I just assumed that maybe something had happened to Sharona, you know. And she said, oh, she said Sharod got shot. And I just went into I can't even explain it to her. I just started screaming and hollering and everything. I just dropped the phone and everything. And I said, oh, I got to get to him. I got to get to him. I got to get to him. So she said, I said, oh, I got to call me a cab. I got to call a cab. I got to call a cab. So she said, oh, I'll come pick you up.
Mm.
And she took me to the hospital.
So when they told you he was shot, did you know he was dead already? Or you just thought like, he could have been in surgery, or
Yeah.
did you know it was as bad as it was? Like you didn't know it was like
No, I
fatal?
didn't. I didn't know. I couldn't even get my clothes on. I just couldn't even get myself dressed, you know.
And we're gonna
No.
circle back to this, right? So tell us, like, 'cause for me, I got a different side of my brother. Like me and Sharad, like as kids, you know how me and Sharad, we ain't get along as kids. Then we got older. Then one day I just ain't tell him get out my room, and then we just was tight after that.
Yeah.
So like to me, I could tell you like, Sharad was a clown, Sharad was a joke. I could tell you a million jokes that I still remember to this day that Sharad told. And it's all every joke he ever told was hilarious. Like, so for me, as his grandmother, you got a different side of him. So can you tell us, like, for you, like, describe Sharad?
Sure. Wow. How far can I go back? Well, Sherrod, to me, when when y'all would say about him that he did a lot of jokes, but he didn't really do a lot of jokes in the house.
So what was it like in the house with him? Like, cause I can't
It
even
was
picture him not being a clown. Like, so I'm like, how was he around his mother and his grandmother? Like,
well, he was a little different around me than he was his mother. Now he was more well, I could say that they joked a
well,
lot
she
of
said the same thing though. Like, he was a jokester.
yeah, but
Nice. Y'all act the same. Like,
yeah, but he didn't really joke like you said he did and stuff. He'd make you laugh at little things. He'd dance around, do little silly things in there, but not really tell the jokes that I hear all his friends say that he was. I didn't see that part of him. Otherwise, he was a good guy, though. He was a good guy. That was my baby. Actually, I wanted Sharad for myself because I didn't have a son. So I just like gravitated to him like, that's my boy.
mm-hmm.
That's my boy. You know, that's how I felt about him. Yeah, just a loving boy. And I can't even, it's just so hard for me now to fathom my life without him, you know. And I just feel him all the time in the house, all the time. I
You wanna
just,
hear the funniest joke Sharad ever
yeah.
said? Well, to me, it's one
What
joke
he
I will
said.
never forget. Him and Tyree, they going to prom, right?
Yeah.
And Sharad, he dressed like
Yeah,
he
yeah.
already had his prom fit. I don't even know how long. He knew what he was wearing. He
Oh,
knew he was
yeah.
wearing them Pradas. Like he knew
Yeah.
his whole outfit.
Right.
So they getting dressed in the house. Him, Tyree getting dressed. He Sharad ready. He got all his stuff. But Tyree, I think his shoes, something was wrong. Either the shoes he really wanted to wear, I think when they came, they was small. So he had wanted to wear like my father's shoes, but I guess he couldn't fit them. So it was like another pair of shoes his mother dropped off. Them shoes was horrible, like horrible. Like, so
Yeah.
he came in the house, he's mad. So Sharad hiking on him. Like, what kind of shoes is these? Sharad takes the shoes out the box. He put the shoes on the counter. He start tapping it. He's like, these some Pops Diner shoes. These some dick-a-dee shoes. And he was on the table like dick-a-dee, like bouncing on the table. Tyree was pissed. We was in the kitchen crying. Tyree was so mad. That's a joke that he told that till this day, like somebody still be like, remember Sharad was like, Tyree had on them dick-a-dee shoes. Tyree was pissed, like, cause them shoes was booty. And it's them the type of shoes like you just hope nobody not gonna say nothing. Like
Right.
Sharad like, kind of shoes is dumb. He into fashion, so he definitely gonna be on them shoes.
Right.
That's probably the funniest story well, not funniest story, the funniest thing he did. So for you, what would be your favorite memory of Sharod? It don't matter if it was when he was a baby. It don't matter when. Like, what's your favorite memory? Something that you never gonna forget. Like it live in your head rent free. Like whenever you think about him, you be like, yo, I never forget this day.
Got so many. Pick out one, two. There's so many of them. Uh, Growing up, as a little, I always remember this. He always was afraid of the Michael Jackson.
Thriller.
He was
Me
afraid
too.
of that Thriller. He did not like Thriller. If he heard it on the radio or TV or something, he would take off running in the next room. He didn't want to hear it. He did not. I was saying it's not. He just thought that those monsters
Yeah.
was gonna come out at him. And also, there's another memory of him. I remember when we was trying to teach him his alphabets.
Hmm.
So we had bought this little table with all the alphabets and numbers on it. So if you would turn it on, he'd start
Yo.
crying.
You know what's funny though? I feel like Sharod always was like he had cancer, so cancers are emotional.
Yeah.
He always like, even though he was such a clown and a jokester and all that, like he did have that side of him.
Yeah.
Like, so I could that's why I'm laughing because I could really see him like
Yeah.
being scared of that. Because I used to be scared of it too.
Thriller?
I used to think not the song,
Uh-huh.
but I used to think, how Michael Jackson, like 1 minute he was brown, then he
Right,
was
right.
light. So I used to think it
Yeah.
was two Michael Jacksons. I thought it was a white Michael Jackson and a black Michael Jackson.
Okay.
The black Michael Jackson was in Thriller. I used to be scared to touch brown stuff because I thought that if I touch it, like the scary people that was in Thriller was gonna
Yeah.
come get me.
Right.
So if I'm in the kitchen by myself, we had like a brown handle to open the refrigerator.
Uh-huh.
I would not touch it. And if I touch it, I'm running because I'm like, yo, the monsters is gonna come get me. So he probably had that same thing in his head, like, yo,
he
they about
did
to
not.
he gonna get me.
So that was a favorite of mine. I used to like to, seeing how his reactions were. And I used to love to I said, okay, it's time to do your alphabets now. And he would start crying and everything, because it had a little knob where you turn it on, so some music would start up, and he would just really start crying and I said, boy, you got to sit down and do this now. You got to learn your alphabets, Yeah.
So when I think back, right, I feel like growing up,
Mhm.
Sharod was in trouble in school a lot, right? Sharod was always suspended. They always calling the house. Like Sharod always doing something. So for me, I thought Sharod was gonna grow up and start going to jail. Like I thought he was gonna be one of those type of people. So for you looking back, how did you know Sharod would turn out how he turned out, or did you think Sharod was going the same thing I thought? Like Sharod probably gonna go down the wrong path because he was always in trouble. Like always.
No, I didn't think he was gonna go down the wrong path. I really didn't. And the reason why I say that is because even though he did get in trouble at school, and teachers would be calling and stuff like that, and he always liked to wear his pants sagging. And his teacher would call and speak to his mother and would tell her to talk to Sharod, but he still would do it. And so one day we had to go to the school. She had to go, but I just wanted to go, so I had to hear what was going on. And she says, well, every day he come in this classroom and she said, and his pants is sagging. I don't want to see the different underwear he wear each day. So we got on him about that, and he started kind of pulling them up there. I said, please, Sharod,
But
let's not
most of
do
them
that.
calls was him
Yeah.
being class clown too, right? You know
Yeah,
that?
he was class clown. Yeah, that's what they say.
Sure, I really was class clown. I wish I was in his class, so we would have been in trouble getting kicked out every day.
Yeah, I know you would have. Yeah, but otherwise, I just looked at him growing up. I didn't really want to grow him. I wanted to keep him as my baby. I really didn't want to grow up.
He was still a baby though.
Yeah,
So.
I know he was the baby, my baby, but I just wanted him to stay a little boy, not grow up, because I could see him growing and maturing and developing into his own self, And I just didn't want to see that part of him, but he did, and he grew on up.
And so going like, all right, so the night when it happened, right? And y'all got to the hospital and all that. And like the funeral comes, like when something like that just happens, you get a lot of love. You get like everybody's coming to your house, everybody,
Yeah.
they bringing food, making sure you eat. Then the minute that funeral is gone, them people gone. You don't see them people no more. Them people don't check for you no more for real. People
Yeah.
don't, nobody coming to make sure you eat no more. And for a lot of people, like, yeah, they might have known Sharod, but they still have their son, they still have their brother, they still, so stuff don't really change for those people, right?
It's true.
So I feel like they kind of forget that, the family still deal with it forever. Like it's not just
Mhm.
after the funeral. And I think a lot of people, they kind of forget that, right? So would you say like, after the funeral, do you feel like you still had support from people like your loved ones, like your friends, other family members? Or do you feel like it was like you and Sharonda was going through that alone? Like y'all just had each other?
For about a month, it was kind of like that. I think everybody just kind of wanted to let us, like, I don't know, just be together, just she and I. And then after a while, a lot of my friends start calling, to check. My sister-in-law, she came. My sister-in-law, she was just about there like every other day
Mm-hmm.
or calling, But they kind of let us just, I don't know, just relax. I don't know. I don't know. I guess they just said, well, we won't bother them right
Yeah.
now. When we'll call a little later or something like that. But then eventually everybody, my friends start calling me and her friends start calling. But nobody didn't really come
Mm-hmm.
around. You came, you were there. Uh Tatiana, Tyree, sometime.
Mm-hmm.
But and it took Malik, his father, a long time. And actually, still to this day, he don't come inside. He won't
He
come
still
in.
never came in?
He don't come in.
Like since that day till now, he never been in the house since.
I think he been in there once.
So in 7 years, just one time.
And you know what? When he bring dinner
Mm-hmm.
and stuff over, he said, "I'm outside."
So you come out and get
I
it.
said, "Okay, I'm coming." But otherwise, he really, I don't know what that is. He won't come in. I don't know what it is. He really coming. I don't ask him.
I don't think I know, but we can talk about that off the air.
Mm.
But all right. Considering that Sharonda, that was your only child. Sharod
Child.
was your only grandson,
Yeah.
your grandchild in general. So like her being your only child, that was your only grandson. How was that for you watching her go through, grieving her son, her only son?
Oh, very emotional. Very, very. My heart would just hurt. I was already hurt, but I was trying to be strong. But yeah, and still, she was trying to be strong for me too. And so I would never see her cry.
Mm-hmm.
Only during that time, of him passing at the hospital. But I never would see her cry no more in the house. So I would ask her, I said, I never see you cry. That's your son. Why you don't cry? And she would say, well, mommy, she said, I cry. She said, you just don't see me. She said, I cry at night when I'm in my bed or whatever. But she would always see me cry all the time throughout the house. She wouldn't say nothing, but.
And that could be
But
why too, that she ain't like to let you
yeah,
see her cry too.
but I think that was her grieving ways. And then, I would hug her. We would hug each other, and I would, we would just try to talk. But I would talk about it more and say things. Oh, Sherrod used to do this, and he used to do that. But she said it so sadly. She said, "Yeah, I know.
Mm-hmm.
I remember." Like that. But I don't know. I think she was pushing me away. I felt that she was pushing me away, but I guess she just didn't want to talk about it. And she didn't know how to say to me,
Right.
"Ma, I don't want to talk." You know. But I wish she had it. Then I would have pulled back.
Mm-hmm.
But I kept trying to talk. Just kind of just.
And that's probably because you wasn't seeing her cry. So did it have you worried?
Mhm.
Like
Yeah,
you don't know how she feeling.
yeah. I didn't know. I didn't know.
Right, so 11 months after Sharod, you bury your grandson, February 8th, 2015. 11 months after that, January 12th, 2016, you lose your daughter.
Yeah.
And in the way that you lost her, right? Oh, well, I don't know if people know how she died. It was the heart attack situation, right?
Yeah.
So, in your opinion, do you feel like that was like she died from a broken heart from losing Sharod? Did she ever have, any heart problems prior to this?
No, she didn't have any heart problems that we knew of.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I felt that she died of a broken heart. I really do, because she took all the breathing inside.
Mm-hmm.
The day that she no, but you want me to tell
You
that
don't have
part of
to
the
if you don't want
story?
to.
That she passed, she was just. I was with her up until about 12 o'clock that night
Mm-hmm.
before she passed. We was just talking, laughing and talking. Me, her, and her father
Mm-hmm.
laughing and talking. And I really didn't want to leave her that night, but I said, I don't want to go home. And I said, I wish they had another bed in here. I could stay overnight. She said, oh, mommy, I'll be okay. I'll be okay. I said, you want me to take your cell phone with me? She said, no. She said, I'm going to call you later. I said, okay, you call me before you drift off to sleep. And she said, okay. And she called me and we talked for a few minutes. I said, you okay? She said, yeah, I'm okay. And that was it. Next call I got, it was about 3 o'clock, 3
Mm-hmm.
to 3:30 in the morning. They said that Sharon had passed away. Well, here we go again. So I can't believe this. I can't believe this. I cannot believe it. So the only thing I could do was call her father. I call her father. And I called Sharon's father,
Sure did,
Malik.
because I heard you when you
Called
called.
him. I said, Malik, I said, you have to get to the hospital. I said, I'm on my way. I said, please come. I said, because they said Sharon had done passed away. And he just said, I'm on my way. You know, when I got there, she was really gone.
Mm-hmm.
And, but the body was still warm,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And I stayed there. Just stayed there with her.
So when you think back, right? I know for me, like now when I look back at
Mhm.
like how Sharonda used to look, I always say like I saw like the sadness in her, but at the time I guess I didn't really notice it. Cause she was always so worried about us. Like she was worried
Yeah,
about, how we feeling. Like, his siblings, she was always so worried about us.
always.
So for me, I'm like, it shocked me, but it didn't. It shocked me because
Really?
it's like, dag, like 11 months after Sharod, like she didn't get to see nothing, like with the court or none of that.
No.
So I'm like, when I think back and I always just saw the sadness in her. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know if it was like when she look at us, it's like, damn, they walking in my house and it's only three of them now. Like,
Yeah.
so for me, it was like, I saw the sadness in her when I look back. Was it a shock to you? Like, did you see the sadness in her? Like, were you surprised that that happened to her?
Yeah, I was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was. I couldn't see the sadness uh uh that you saw or what other people saw, because even when she went back to work, like 2 months after he passed, she went back to work. And I said, you sure you ready to go back to work? She said, yeah. I want to go. I want to go. She said, I need to get out the house or whatever. But over a period of time, that's what her coworkers would say. They could see the sadness in
Hmm.
her. They could just see it in her eyes, but I couldn't see it.
Right.
I really couldn't see it.
But even when you look back now, do you see it or you just like you don't see it like just now?
I think I do now, as the years have gone by. I think I do, because that's why I would talk to her. I would talk to her. And I wanted her to really cry,
Right.
but she wouldn't cry.
Hmm.
She really would never cry in front of me. I never saw another tear, only when we was at the funeral. That was it. But what I did do, because I needed to know what happened to
Right.
her, because No, she always was strong, you know. She was really my backbone,
Mhm.
you know, so I had the doctor to do an autopsy on her because I needed to know what happened. She wasn't a sickly person or
Right.
nothing. So they did.
And what did the autopsy results reveal?
Oh,
If you want to tell us, you don't have to if you don't want to.
well, you know, I know the doctor when he explained the autopsy to me,
Mhm.
and he had told me don't really uh speak on it. But the only thing, she had a heart attack.
Mhm.
The doctor couldn't even believe it too. He couldn't believe it.
Definitely a broken heart. If it
Yeah.
was like nothing else in it.
It's nothing, nothing was wrong with none of her organs,
Mhm.
nothing, none of that. As we read through it, because I couldn't understand the medical terms, you
Right.
know, so he would explain everything to us. I can't even find the autopsy. I know it's somewhere in the house, but I can't find it.
So considering, right,
Mhm.
Sharod died. Sharonda died 11 months after him, right?
Yeah.
Did you ever feel like, because it was, always y'all three in the house, and because, the two of them were gone, you were here by yourself now. Did you ever feel like one day you would kind of like the same thing could happen? Like you would go from a broken heart? Like, did you ever, like, fear that? Like, what was your,
Yeah.
let us know about that?
No, I didn't fear that. Yeah. Why? Because uh my beliefs in God and my faith, and I always pray and ask God to give me the strength to bear the loss of my two children. I ask him for that. And he did. God has still, and he's still giving me strength to bear because it's still hard for me. It's really still hard, you know. I carry them close to my heart all the time. I know people say, "Oh, every time I see that lady, she got these
Hmm.
pictures on." You know, some people will look at them and ask what. Sometimes I can tell them, and sometimes I can't.
Hmm.
It all depends, you know. And but no, I didn't never think that I was gonna die. I really didn't to this day. But I always ask God for strength. And another reason, you know, the way I feel is that I have all of y'all. I have you, Ty, Malik, Shanta, Tyree, you know. So all that is my closeness, and you have now become like my real close family.
Don't say that. We is your close
I
family.
know that, but at first I didn't feel like that,
Uh-huh.
but I do now. I do now, and he got some good friends.
So aren't you glad my father was a Rolling Stone now, huh? Happy about that part now, huh? Now he left you with it. Like, Sherrod might not be here, but still a little football team.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's still a little football team.
I'm acting like it's only 4 kids. I mean, that not like kids. It's a lot, and we all like.
Yeah,
I'm the only one a different age at that. It's like,
yeah, yeah.
but so consider, you said you got us now. Do you think that helped you along the way? Like, do you think having us? I'm not gonna say it makes it easy because it's gonna always be hard, but do you feel like it could have been worse for you had you not had us? Like, let's say Sherrod didn't have siblings, or let's say he had a deadbeat dad, or it was always just y'all three, and then when they went, it was just you. Do you think that we helped you along the way?
Yes, very much so. You really, really have. I enjoy being around you, talking on the phone. You know, that helps me all the time. Whenever I hear your voice, always it just helps.
Oh, you
It
gonna make a
just helps.
gangster cry? Voice. Oh.
Well, I'm trying not to, 'cause I can tear up in a minute. But yeah, I love that. I
So
love
you
that.
know how people say like, a lot of people like I feel like when people don't experience loss, they just around it. They know people who go through it and stuff like that. Me, I feel like a lot of people say a lot of dumb stuff. People don't have death etiquette. People don't really know what to say. They think like, they could fix it for you. When really you just gotta be there. So would you say that it's gotten better with time, or do it still feel like it happened yesterday? Both deaths.
Sometime, sometime it all depends. Sometime, yeah, sometimes it just like it just happened. And then I'll just really cry. I'll just break down and cry. But when I was taking therapy for a while after Sharonda passed, that's one of the things the therapist told me. She said that if I felt like screaming, just scream,
Mhm.
you know. If I felt like I needed to talk about it, I'm sorry, talk about it, just talk,
Right.
you know. That's what I did. And that's like a little therapy for me. And right now, to this day, sometimes I'll talk about it, you know,
How long did it take you to seek therapy? How long did you do it? Do you still do it?
about a month after Sharon
Oh.
passed. I think I needed to just get some kind of therapy for myself. I
Mhm.
felt like I was about to break. Really, I felt like I was about to break. You know, I said, now I'm all alone. The house is just too, too silent for me,
Mhm.
you know. And, but with prayer, I'm telling you, it really brought me through. God is good. I know He good.
Mhm.
Really, really good. Just gotta believe in it and have your faith.
Do you think you could ever forgive the shooter?
Well, that's very hard for me
Mhm.
because by me being a Christian, they say you're supposed to forgive the person, but it's still hard. I
Mhm.
pray and ask God to help me to forgive him. But right to this day, I pray on. I really do. It's not no lie. I pray because in order for God to continue to get to forgive me for my sins, you know, because I'm not perfect. I have to try to forgive him. But the only thing I want to talk to him face to face, which I guess it may never happen, but maybe I could forgive him
Mhm.
then.
And if you
But
did, what would you tell him?
I don't know. I would have to just ask him, why did you do that? Why did you murder my son? I can't do it. My grandson. And you didn't even know him. He didn't know you. Why would you do that to him? You know? I just need to talk to him because in the courtroom, you don't get a chance to say
Right.
nothing.
And speaking of court, I was getting to that
Oh,
next.
okay.
What was it like seeing him for the first time in the courtroom?
Wow. Anger. Really anger. I wanted to just take my shoe off and
What
just
you wanted to do with the shoe, Grandma? Throw it.
throw it. I just wanted to throw it
Where at
over
his
there.
head? The
Wherever I
mouth? We
could,
wanted to
just
hit him.
really that. I just wanted to stand up when I saw him come through the doors in shackles.
You
I
should have
just
told me because I would have followed up. Came right behind you. And he was
um,
handcuffed too.
yeah, he was
You would have got the
handcuffed.
best of him.
Yeah, yeah, we sure would have, but they'd have thrown us out of
It's fine. As long as we got our lick back, it's cool. It's all right. Got the last
Because
laugh.
one of Sharonda's co-workers, she said to me, she said, Miss Coleman, she said, you have to try to stay calm as you possibly can. She said, because the judge will put you out and he won't let you come back. I said, okay, I'm gonna try. I said, but I can't stand it. I hate him, I hate him, I hate
Mhm.
him. You know, but he never would look at you.
Nope.
You notice that? He never would look. He never would look, and I would just stare because I wanted him to see my face. I think I raised up one time, kind of, so that,
I know
but,
that girlfriend told him his sister is a gangster. He messed up with that one. Like, don't look at that girl.
uh,
And I wasn't there. Like, I wasn't at the hospital. None of us were here. All three of us was somewhere. Like, I was in Miami when it
oh,
happened.
you was?
I was in Miami. Tyree was locked
Okay.
up, and Ty was in South Jersey.
Oh, she
at
was.
her friend house. So we didn't come to the hospital. It was just my mother and my
Yeah,
father
just your
and
mother, your
y'all, and then the
father,
friends that
yeah.
was with him, but we wasn't
Yeah,
there.
and your father was when I walked in the emergency room, I just saw him. He was just on the floor
Wow.
in a fetal
Wow.
position. And your mom, just had her head down. I guess she was trying to console him.
Yeah. And that's a good thing we wasn't there because I could just, if it was as bad as it was with just y'all, imagine if we was there too. Like that really would have been the shit show. Like with all of us, like, nah.
That was horrible though, because but when I got to the emergency room, and after seeing your father on the floor in a fetal position, his back was to me, and I didn't want to say anything to him. I just walked. The nurse took me to another room. There was, there was Sharod laying one of those gurneys.
Hmm. I couldn't have seen that. I ain't even look in his casket.
And you did?
I don't know what he looked like in the casket. I ain't look. I couldn't. I ain't even walk up to it. When we walked in, I went straight to Sharonda. Like I ain't even
Oh,
walk up there. I don't know what he looked like.
and I just like rubbed his head. And when I rubbed his head, my hand was full of blood. But I thought he had got shot in the head.
Mhm.
And Sharon, she was standing inside the wall, and she said, I said, Sharonda. Said, no, mommy, that's not what happened. I guess by the blood draining
Mhm.
back or something. I don't know how the blood got from the heart up there,
Mhm.
but there was blood in my hand. So, and I actually wanted to I was trying to look under the blanket what they had him on because he
Mhm.
didn't have on but one sneaker,
Mhm.
and I felt his feet, down there. And I just, mm,
Sentencing day, right? The
yeah.
day was, we was always going back and forth. It was postponed. We get there, we sitting there for hours. Nah, postponed. They just keep postponing, keep postponing it, right?
Right.
So eventually, September 2017, they
Mhm.
finally sentenced him.
Yeah.
How was that for you? Like, were you satisfied with the sentencing? Were you disappointed? Like, how was that for you?
I wasn't never satisfied with and still to this day, I'm not satisfied with the sentence. I'm really not satisfied, but New Jersey laws are really tough, and when they put certain things on the table for what do you call him?
Was it a deal?
They put a deal on the table. But what I didn't realize that criminals really do have a say so. I couldn't believe that they would allow him to take a deal when they knew that he had murdered a 22-year-old.
Yeah, but the thing with that though, that could get sticky. The
Yeah,
jury, you got to prove it to them. So we know that. The cops know that. The detectives know. But you got to prove that to a jury who they don't know anybody. And 9 times out of 10, he could have walked. Like, they don't got no evidence. The surveillance is grainy. Then he could have just been on the street, and then that would have been far worse for you too. Like, imagine him just walking around. You could run into him somewhere one day. Imagine that. Like,
yeah,
he could have just got off like he ain't do nothing. So
yeah,
that's the deal. Was kind of like a safe route. I ain't understand that at first. I didn't want to understand that at first. Like, when it first happened.
yes,
And yeah, but I get it now. Like I feel like I gotta,
yeah.
and I went to school for criminal justice, so it's like I understand the
You
justice
understand?
system, but it's like
Yeah,
you don't want to hear that. Like when
no.
it's you, it's like I don't hear that. But it's like I get it now.
Yeah,
Like
you do. Yeah, because I understand what you're saying because I remember the detective said to me, Detective Ford, she did say that, she said, well, they did give him a plea deal. And I didn't understand what a plea deal was at first. But at that time, the plea deal that the state was either they wanted to just give him was 18 years. And I
Mhm.
said, 18 years? He murdered my grandson, my boy. He murdered him just like nothing. Say, yeah, but that at that time that was the plea deal.
Mhm.
The plea deal has gone up now.
It did?
Yeah,
For him, or you just saying in general?
in general, it
Oh.
has gone up because she did say that next year it was going to go up to 20,
Mhm.
and then it moves up. Oh, God. Every two or so many years it
Mhm.
goes up. You know. So, and his public defender had already told me if he took it to trial, he would have gotten more time. But
Mhm.
like you said, it's still up to a jury. So naturally, he wanna take that plea deal.
Right.
Yeah.
Because when you think about it, what evidence do they really have other than that surveillance camera? Like,
Yeah,
or his
that's true.
friends. His friends ain't about to. They ain't about to tell on him. They ain't
No,
gonna tell.
no, not his friends. No.
So, all right. So you touched on a lot today, right?
Yes, we
So,
did.
I feel like it's a lot of people out there that we probably don't know. It could be people I don't know in Africa somewhere that might have
Yeah.
experienced the same thing that you're going through, that you went through, as far as you losing your son, your grandson, your daughter, not long apart.
Right.
So, what advice would you give someone, a woman who's dealing with your loss? Like, what the same loss? Like, what do you think of like help them get through?
Well, I think that you have to talk. You have to talk to somebody, even if you a therapist, a family member that you're close with. But just try to have your faith in God and pray and ask Him, God, to just give you the strength, because otherwise you won't make it. You really, I'm telling you, you will not make it if you don't have that God's strength. And I don't know, just move one day at a time. You just have to take it one day, one step at a time. You know, just try to, that's all I can say is just try to do one day at a time. Because it's going to be hard and you never will ever forget about it.
Mhm.
You really don't. Not a day go by. I talk to him every day. And now I've gotten to the point where I get up in the morning and I say, "Good morning, family," because they pictures is all together.
Mhm.
And that gets me through the day. It really do.
So when you get home tonight, right? Before you go to bed, tell Sharod I said his feet stink. Tell him he dirty and don't sit on my bed with them
Don't
dirty
sit on
clothes
my
neither.
bed, yeah.
His street clothes sitting on my bed. Tell him he dirty. When you get home, go right up to the picture. Your sister
I'll
said
tell
you
him.
dirty. Like you
I
dirty.
sure will. I will tell him.
All right,
And,
grandma.
anything that happens sometime, I don't know why. This is just something that I have started. I talk to him. If
Mhm.
something happened, I'll tell him about the games that we go to. I just talk to him. You know,
Oh, and his team made my ticket hit like last week too. They
really.
had me at the edge of my seat, but it
Oh,
hit, and I knew it
okay.
was him. Cause I
You
was
know what I'm saying?
like, yeah, booty team. But they held me down that day. Held me down. All right,
Yeah.
grandma. I'm
Yeah,
gonna have to
baby.
start wrapping this thing up, but
Okay.
thank you for coming through,
Thank you
talking to
for
us.
having
Proud of
me.
you. You see you did good.
Yeah, I
It's
did
just
better
me,
than I
right?
thought of. Yeah, just you. Maybe if it had been more people, I would
Felt
have
like the
been
phone,
like,
right? Like we just chopping it up
yeah.
on the phone.
Yeah, just like we chopping it up on the phone. See, that's what I'm talking about. That get me through my day.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
All right, and one more time before we go, tell them who grandma you is. You gotta say it with your chest. Who
I
grandma
gotta
are you?
say it with my chest. Grandma am I?
Yep.
I am Sharod Coleman/Fitzgerald at Slim
And
Bz.
what's your name?
My name is Yvonne.
No, your other name.
Oh, my other
The
name?
big name.
Oh, the big name, Grandma B's.